Recent advance in plant growth regulators. I am Dr. Vijayan. Think about the fact plant growth towards sunlight have roots that grow into the soil to help them absorb water and nutrients. We also think about the fact that some of the plants produce fruits, and these fruits ripen and fall to ground. But how? You even wonder how your plant carried out all these functions. How do the plant coordinate the different organisms or organ systems to grow, development and response to stimuli? All the functions control from hormones, plant growth hormones. Example, hormones are chemical messengers that travel throughout an organisms throughout the body, usually in blood or another transport medium. Is a hormone or molecule chemical messenger stimulate the form of change the organism body. Is a plants several different classes hormones with the perform a broad range of functions from turning leaves brown into the atom to control the opening and closing of the stomata. Unlike the hormone in animals which are produced in specific glands, plant hormone can be produced by the cell in most part of the plant for growing ones. And mainly to reach the target cells, the plant hormone can diffuse or gravity or traveling through the plant transport tissue. Some hormones have transport mechanism influenced by the lights in the explainer. One of the plant hormone is auxin. The auxin is a major role for the auxin accumulates on the shade side of shoot, the stimulating cell elongate on the sides. And shoot positive phototropism, negatively geotropisms, and root negatively phototropism, positively geotropisms. And is the auxin or group of hormones that have incredibly wide range of functions for the plants and including cell elongations, the promotion of apical dormants, which the hormone usually produce the cells at the tip of the root and shoots. The auxin or plant hormone that controls cell elongations in addition to their many other roles including maintenance, apical dormancy and phototropism response. Is the auxin one of the tropism is directional growth, the movements, response either away from towards the stimulus. And mainly phototropism is a response of an organism by growing towards away from the lights. Example, stomata seedling display the phototropism. One of the response to the lights, the mainly to induce shoot and root systems. In the most plant, the shoot grow above the ground into the air. Auxin is play a role in enabling the shoot to bend towards the sunlight is called positive tropism or phototropism. And light falls on one side, the shoot will other side remain in the shade. The auxins are released from the tip of the shoot as they diffuse down. They are transported away from the sunny side to the shady sides of the shoots. This is due to the special protein is called phototropism. Is a sunny side that are actively by light stimulate the transport of auxin away from these regions. And some of the cells sunny side have fewer auxins. They are much lesser stimulated to elongated than the cells on the shade side. The asymmetrical growth cause the shoot be bent toward the lights. And nowadays, how do auxin function in roots? One of the major questions. An interesting fact about auxin, the different concentration of the same hormones can have different effects in different plant pots. For example, higher concentration of auxin is a plant shoot can promote cell elongations. And opposite is true of the root some plants. In higher concentration of the auxin in the plant, root can, in fact, they inhibit the growth of the root cells. In root, auxins accumulate at the low level sites at the root and tip. The higher concentration of auxin inhibit growth of the root on lower sides. And the cell can upper side of the root are allowed to grow is normally. But the light is not only stimulate which influence the root growth. Gravity in the second stimulus the largely influence direction of the root growth. To the help of roots plant growth downwards the direction of the gravitational pull. This type of tropism is called geotropism or gravitropisms, right? And gravitropism is not only for root orientations. The wondered is well astronaut have observed that even space, absence of gravity, plant roots or directional growth, the root grow away from the light source. This is called negatively geotropisms, right? And the shoot of the most plant auxin accumulates on the shade sides, the stimulate the cells. In the positive tropism, the response of beneficial plant as more light enter the shoot means more phototropic can occur. And mainly the understanding affects the different auxin concentrations. The mainly auxin inhibits cell elongation growth roots. Auxin stimulates cell elongation growth in roots. Auxin have no effects on the growth and roots. And mainly the hormone is IAA. Indole 3 acetic acids. The auxin produced mostly in apex or bud. The young development leaves of the plants is induced cell division and elongation. One of the interesting function of IAA, the main apical dormants, the most plant tend show more upward growth and lateral growth also. One of the major help to grow taller, more exposed to the sunlight, the need for photosynthesis is called apical dormancy. And in the root, some of the plant auxin accumulate at the bottom of the root away from the lights. The light is mainly induced hormonal changes for the growth and developments. Is a understanding some of the plant root lower concentration of auxin can encourage the little roots grow, but in the higher concentration of auxin they inhibit cell elongations at the bottom of the roots they accumulate. The cell at the tip of the root grow, it's normally the asymmetric growth. One of the main root bend away from the light above, it's moved down and deeper into the soil in the process called negative geotropism. And the key terminology, some of the auxins, the IAA bind to the cell, the stimulate it pH to the decrease or low pH cause cell or loosening. The more water enter the cell to the loosenings, it's a main process. Some of the vacuole merge, the expand causes cell swelling and elongated by increasing the turgor pressures on the cell wall. And the cell elongation can be triggered by auxins, IAA, the shoot tip. IAA is produced by cell in the apical bud and diffuses to other part of the plants. And IAA bind to receptor on the cell below and stimulate the decrease in the pH of the cells. The increasing acidity of the cell lead to the cell wall loosening, and it's mainly the cell wall mean the more water enter the cell store into the vacuoles that become large and more numerous increasing cells. And increasing volume of water and increasing turgor pressures on the loosen the cell wall is easily caused to the cell to expand and elongate the cells. And some of the stimulation or inhibition of the cell growth in the root and stem of the plant exchange with an increasing in IAA concentrations, indole acetic acid. It's that the graph will be measures the growth is inhibitory effects and stimulating effects. The root high and low, the concentrations, the shoot will be increasing, right? The hormone is mostly produced young leaves and the bud on the plants called apical dormancy is responsible for inducing cell divisions and controlled by elongation also. And cell elongations, the plant either need to grow or bend or responds to stimulus such as light. The way of IAA is the different roots and the shoots is also dependent on the concentrations. It's mainly one of the major hormone, the recently discovered Strigolactone is a plant interaction with the determinant organisms. Is a cells or plant hormone that have important role as modulator of the plant development. They were originally described as ex planta. It's a signal model. The molecule, the rhizosphere that induce germination of parasitic plants. Germination of parasitic plants. A role that later linked to the encourage the beneficial of symbiosis. Beneficial of symbiosis with the arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi. Vascular and arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi easily to penetrate the plant regions. The VAM. The role of strigolactone, the plant microbe, the interacts and have revealed the role of A cells in the association of leguminous with nitrogen fixing rhizosphere plants. And the interaction with disease caused pathogens with the beneficial and detrimental organism. Beneficial and detrimental organisms. And is mainly to induce the high water availability. The water flow into the guard cells, making the turgidity. Some of the stoma remain open, lead to the some water loss. Example, the guard cells will be open in daytimes. The high water availability, easily root will be absorbed water molecules. And low water availability means the abscisic are enhanced, the stomata is closes. So water leaves guard cells, make them flaccid. The stoma will be closed, the more water is conserved. It's the opening and closing stomata, the results from different abscisic acid concentration in high and low waters availability. It's the mainly stomatal closure process and IAS stimulant. Is a major one of the hormones. The plant hormone are naturally occurring small molecule compounds which are present at trace amounts in plants. They play a pivotal role. The regulation of plant growth, the biological activity of plant hormones depends on the concentration in the plants. The accurate determination of plant hormone is paramount. And some of the significance. It's the main process have been realized in the analysis of plant hormones. Particularly in the same pre-treatment techniques and mass spectrometric methods. An advancement in vitro identification of the plant, the pathical distribution of plant hormones in real life plant sample, which is contributed greatly to the burgeoning field of plant hormone and investigations. And it's the one of the auxin have no effects on the growth and root cells. It's the main process. The 5 different growth hormone, abscisic acid, auxin and polarized, gibberellic acids, cytokine and ethylene. And higher concentrations, auxin is inhibit cell elongation growth in roots. An auxiliary group of chemical messengers called hormone that control cell elongation in the plants. There may be other functions. Auxin are capable of stimulating a change in the normal plant cell growth and increasing decreasing rate of elongation depend on the plant they are acting the concentrations. And mainly plant shoot auxin tend to the accumulations in the cell are not directly exposed to the lights. A higher concentration of auxin in the shoot cause cell is shaded regions to elongate comparatively more than illuminated regions. Is the main cause the shoot and plant to curve toward lights, allowing the photosynthetic cells in the shoot and any leaves attached to the capture more lights for photosynthetic process. And mainly root of the plants rarely containing photosynthetic cells, they function to the burrow deep into soil. Little lights is available to absorb water and minerals instead of capturing lights. And to accumulate, the function and higher concentration of auxin result in the opposite effects in the root to the shoot. They inhibit cell elongations. And the source of usually results them of down process or deeper into the soils. At the plant cycle is regulate the plant hormones. Generally, plant biology actively is manipulated by more than one hormones. The biological phenomenon reflect the combination of interplay of the several different hormones. It is mainly the informations toward the soils and effective learning of plant growth hormones. During the situation of the plant also cooperated to modified biological response, the formation and maintenance of plant stress tolerance. And finally, the conclusion process. The last decades has revealed a lot of about plant hormones is a signaling pathways. The receptor for several hormones is mainly induced systems or entire biological response is combinated result different hormone actions, and we have to use avail data to development of conceptual model to describe how plant hormone is interact. This model to stimulate the development testable hypothesis or further insight into the mechanism of maintenance of plant homeostasis process by continuing explore the coordinating and regulating by different hormones. A hormone is one of major functions. Conclusion process, the phytohormone or plant growth regulators play a crucial role in plant growth and developments. Apart from the traditional plant hormones studied, auxin, gibberellin, cytokinin, abscisic acid and ethylene, the various other biomolecules are being reported to act as hormones. Several novel growth regulators discovered in recent past include compounds like melatonin, serotonin, strigolactone, hexanodal, caronins. The melatonin and serotonin were previously studied exclusively for their functions and neurotransmitters in animal and also being reported in plant widely is accepted. These two hormones impart specific function during biotic and abiotic stress as well as plant growth and development process. On the other hand, strigolactone previously reported as germinating stimulating for wheat species has also important functions in plant architecture modifications. Strigolactone also important in the resistance to the plant using along with the major plant hormones. Example auxin, gibberellin, cytokinin. And to regulate the process as well as the interactions in natural elucidating the newly discovered biomolecule components. And hexanol is isolated from trichoderma. The studied role of plant growth systemic resistant. The secondary metabolites of trichoderma is promoted plant growth. It's a better development route active plant defense mechanism also. And plant growth regulators found in smoke of burning the plant material and also known as to stimulate germination of seeds. And mainly the supporting evidence of different novel plant growth, the regulate and the potential role of agriculture. Is the plant growth are endogenous factors which play a crucial role for plant growth development process. Apart from basics, traditional growth hormones, example gibberellin, auxin, cytokinin, abscisic acid and ethylene is a very biochemical. The reported as a hormones. And mainly the many hormones responsible for plant metabolism and is a performance to the components for natural suggesting the various stimulations. The role of tolerance should be more exploited. A clear concept mode of actions of serotonin and melatonin still need for further investigations. And all signal pathways should be focused unexploited arena of the research as a potential plant growth hormone. Still many research going on to develop stress tolerance cultivated with higher yield ability plants. The role of novel metabolites as a plant growth regulators still provide the vast area is open. And finally, the plants is control the plant kingdom or phenomena that involve about 80% species of the plant kingdom. It has significant role during the plant stress response including drought stress, nutrient starvations, salinity, temperature and pathogen attack. And some of the suggestions, salt stress including Strigolactone production in arbuscular mycorrhiza associated with the plants trigger the fungal growth and help overcome the stress conditions. And some reports positively regulated salinity and drought response in Arabidopsis thaliana is the media of Strigolactone. The lower ABA and GA balance and increasing cytokinin levels, the positively affect seed germinations. Is under high temperature stress applications, GR24 stimulates germinating circulating defense Arabidopsis mutant and also been recognized as a compound to offer resistant to specific pathogens. Besides the phytohormones and other chemical compounds are the level of also regulate phosphate level, the production of increasing and the shortage of phosphate materials. And some of the hormones are in increasing concentration during night lead to the further experiment which is a conclusion of biosynthesis of hormone. So circadian rhythms, the variation of pattern among the various species, tissue and organ was also reported in various plant species. And mainly example lupin, barley, grapes, sweet cherry is one of the major role for the controlling the circadian rhythms. And finally, I tell you one quotes, the plants do not have nerves, the only containing human beings, but they send the instruction through the plant body via hormones. This hormone is very important. The majorly discovered many scientists is a major role for plant kingdom. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you.